So this presentation, from ping pong tables to real impact, are we missing the point in HR, is less of an answers type of presentation. It is more an opportunity for all of us to reflect on where we are spending our time. Is it what we really want to be focusing on? And ultimately, what is the impact? What is the impact for ourselves, for the organizations that we represent, and certainly for the people that we are working on behalf of? So with that, I want to pose a question. And that question is, have you, in the past few years, contemplated whether or not you want to stay as an in-house HR leader or you wanted to go into the world of consulting? And I ask that because many of my friends recently have made the trend from in-house HR, the move from in-house HR to the world of consulting. And it got me thinking, why? I felt that we are losing amazing people that need to be into organizations to keep up moving, that are choosing to be consultants now. And when I got to talk to them, what I learned was that many of them are leaving organizations because they feel that the time that they are spending is not on the things that matter. And they want to have the opportunity of working on work that they choose, on projects that they find interesting and they find relevant and making an impact. And more importantly, they said they want to work with the willing, which I thought was very interesting. So what occupies our time these days? Many things. Sometimes the allure of trendy perks and technologies, automation and AI, certainly a project and the topic that is keeping us interested. The 4-day work week. Every organization, every employee task force is talking about it. Should we be back into the office? Should we be hybrid? Should we be remote? And certainly novelty perks. We all remember the ping pong table that many of us bought at one point, the slides that we had in the offices, and many other novelty perks that we chose to offer our employees. And then there's the vanity projects. Projects that come with good intent, but oftentimes they are not the most vetted for relevance. Projects that somebody is sponsoring, but ultimately may not be the ones that make the biggest change and the biggest impact in an organization. And then busy work. I'm sure you can all relate. Often caused by inefficiencies, often caused because we are understaffed, under-resourced, and under-supported. And this is what takes a lot of time of the HR leader and the HR organizations currently. So the question is, are we chasing a trend trap? Are these trends really enhancing or really taking our attention away from our true mission? Do they drive true value? I believe if you worked with any coach, they will have told you that for every yes you say, there's 10 things you say no to. Is this something we should be focusing on? And if so, how much of our time and our resources should we put into this? There's always a cost. So being mindful of how much we give and how much we get out of these projects is the question that we want to be asking. If you've been in the business and you've been in HR for some time, I'm sure you've noticed that there are some very enduring challenges that are staples in the workplace, from finding an attractive quality talent, from retention, diversity and inclusion, culture, crisis management, that we are all keenly aware that has been a staple in our lives for the past few years, maybe too many times, leadership succession planning, performance evaluation, and then anticipating the future talent needs. And I ask the question to all of you, do we spend enough time here? I want to make a case that our value, the HR value, lies in our core missions of aligning people with business needs. And those are the pillars around attracting and finding talent. How do we find talent? When there's scarcity, when there's abundance, how do we make sure that the best people for the role are making it into our organizations? And then how do we develop and maintain a strong employer brand? Do the candidates want to work for the companies that we are part of? Retention and engagement, another classical pillar in HR, right? Prioritize employee motivation and engagement. How do we properly measure it? Do we know what to do with those results? Can we make an impact there? Training and development. The needs of our organizations are changing at an incredible pace. Are we keeping up with the training, the upskilling, and the development that our people need? And then do we use that growth to build a solid leadership pipeline? Change. I don't need to say more about this, but ultimately, that is the one constant we all manage to. Culture and managing change are some of the most important aspects that we can contribute to and we can prioritize in our businesses. Do we have a healthy culture? We know more than anything, more than the ping pong table, more than the barista, more than the beer and the keg available. People want to work for good companies that align with their values and with what they are seeking in their own development. We want to guide and support our organizations through change, particularly if you are in a high growth company or a startup. The pace of change is incredible in a way that we have not seen it ever before. It is part of our core role, I argue, of making sure that our organizations are supporting as they are adjusting to change. So at this point, I want to introduce to you the 70-20-10 rule, which you may very well know. It has come into being in the 80s, and it's accredited to 3 researchers that work for the Center of Creative Leadership. It was repopularized in the past decade, really, with the approach that Google uses to help employees prioritize their work. So I want to bring this because I think it's a fantastic tool to use as we think about balancing core activities with exploration. We want to explore. We want to be at the forefront of what's happening in the industry. But we should never forget that the most important use and value we can bring is really on the core activities we just went over. So 70% on core activities, spend it on essential HR projects and operations that not only will maintain your organization's stability, but will foster growth for the business and the people in the business. 20%, use it on adjacent HR initiatives, projects, programs that are related to the core activities, but also opportunities to stretch, to improve, to grow. And I argue that 10% or less should be spent on transformative or innovative HR projects. And not because innovation is not important, it is. But do not forget the core of what we have to solve for. And these usually are high risk, high reward initiatives that have the potential to significantly make an impact and redefine the way we work. But chasing the shiny object should not be where we spend most of our time. And I know it is very hard because many of us work in startups, and startups are known and thrive on the idea, a novel, and coming up with a smarter, quicker, better way of doing things. So startups are all about taking risks. They are all about hoping that the next initiative, the next strategy that they are putting in place is going to give them a competitive edge. think that balance needs to be different when we are talking about the HR work. The work that we address and the topics that we focus on remain fairly constant over time, and it is important to stay with them and to find better ways of solving for them. So the challenge, and this is what I want to bring to you today, is not that the problems we address need to change, but how we approach solving them does. The future of work is here. We always look to the future and try to see what's coming around the corner. But I believe HR already plays a big role in shaping the future organization. We already understand what the issues are. We now need to get buy-in to solve the right issues, but maybe find new ways to solve them in a meaningful way. How can you do this, you wonder? Well, focusing on the root cause of organizational issues. Are we solving for what we really need to be solving? Ensuring that we have support and buy-in to make these changes, and then find new ways to solve old problems. And hopefully, if we do it well, we can find solutions that will create lasting and impactful strategies. For those of you that are familiar with design thinking, I am sure that you have seen this framework, and if you haven't, I highly encourage you to research it. It's a great formula and way of finding new solutions that may give you a different alternative with more impact. So introducing the design thinking at work and how we can find new ways of solving all problems. One, reframe the problem. Can you look at it from a different angle? Can you redefine how we think about the problem? If we do so, it may open up new opportunities and possibilities. Get diverse perspectives. Often we only talk to other HR leaders or to our teams. Why not bring into the conversation the people who are ultimately impacted by the solutions and the initiatives that we are putting forward? Make sure that the right stakeholders are involved. Again, not only HR, but the ultimate clients, people who may not be even close to the problem. Great ideas come from a variety of backgrounds, perspective, and viewpoints. Challenge existing assumptions. Use learnings from other areas to transplant into our work. Leverage new technology and methods. I am very much a supporter of technology and new frameworks. Use them. They are not a goal in itself, but they are a means to help us find novel and better ways of solving the problems that our organizations have. Pilot and experiment. Why not try it on a smaller scale before we go out with a large project, a lot of work, we tend to get attached to it. Why not try it in a smaller part of the organization? Why not try a subset of the initiative and see how it works? Does it make a difference? Is it better? Is there something that we can learn from this experiment and then make it better and better? This is something that startups are incredibly good at. Minimally viable product. Put it out there. Give it a try. See, does it work? Before you get attached to it. And then you are able to put forward a solution that is more impactful. And then keep an open mind. Continuously learn and adapt. Reflect on the outcomes, gather feedback, and seek ways to improve that solution. Analyze the results that you get, be it that they are positive or they were a failure, and continue to iterate on solutions until you are happy with the result. So I took the liberty of coming up with a list of what I think are some workplace critical areas that are very much in need of a revamp. Performance management. I do not believe we do it well. I do not believe we have made much progress in the past few years on how we can make it better. People in the organization are not particularly finding it helpful or motivating, and it's often still seen as an HR pushed initiative. Measuring productivity, particularly with remote work, hybrid work, it's a debate of topic for business leaders and HR leaders. How do we measure productivity? Workforce planning. We have in the past few years gone through very rapid growth, downsizing, very rapid growth, downsizing. It's exhausting for everyone. How can we do workforce planning better? Alignment. This is a very old, unsolved issue in organizations. How do we make sure that areas are in alignment with a broader strategy? Equitable pay, change management, DEIB, manager effectiveness and accountability. So these are some of the topics that I thought are very much in need of a revamp. And I encourage you to think of others, and I invite you to continue the conversation with what are some of the areas that you would like to see done better, more effectively, and with more impact to our businesses.